strongest companies are not in America. I think the Chinese companies are stronger than ours, and they're growing faster. And I have investments in them, and you don't. And I'm right and you're wrong. Nobody has ever taken a big nation ahead as fast as China has come ahead. I'm a big admirer of what's happened there.
Known for his wit and contrarian views, legendary investor Charlie Munger was a long-term believer in China's growth story and system of government, even more so than his more famous business partner, Warren Buffett.
Warren, like many other intelligent people, likes to invest where he's personally comfortable. For some reason, I'm more comfortable with the Chinese than he is.
However, he managed to convince Buffett in China's growth story, with Buffett praising China's growth in this interview.
It is incredible the transformation that has happened to a country where for hundreds of years nothing happened. I mean, it shows you the power of a system. The Chinese people aren't smarter than they were 50 years ago. The system now is unleashing their potential. What I saw over there was government, management, and labor all with a common goal and with a zeal and a passion for achieving that goal. And when you get those three forces operating together and you get people that are hungry to do things, a lot's going to get done. I mean, it is astounding what's happening.
Munger was particularly happy with his investment in Chinese electric vehicle maker BYD, calling it his best ever investment.
I have never helped do anything at Berkshire that was as good as BYD, and I only did it once. Our $270,000 investment there is worth about $8 billion now, or maybe $9 billion. That's a pretty good rate of return.
With US-China tensions again heating up with Biden's 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles.
A 100% tariff on electric vehicles made in China.
Let's look into why China captivated Munger over the years, both good and bad, starting with his thoughts on former Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping.
I think Deng Xiaoping is going to go down as one of the greatest leaders that any nation ever had, because he had to give up his own ideology to do something else that worked better. My hat is off to the Chinese. I loved what the guy said in the first place. I don't care whether the cat is black and white as long as it catches mice.
His praise of China's government also extended to their ban of cryptocurrencies and the silencing of Alibaba founder Jack Ma.
And of course, I'm not proud of my country for allowing this crap, what I call the crypto shit. It's worthless, it's no good, it's crazy. The guy who made the correct decision on this is the Chinese leader. The Chinese leader took one look at crypto shit and he says, not in my China. And boom, oh well, there isn't any crypto shit in China. He's right and we're wrong. I think Jack Ma was very arrogant to be telling the Chinese government how dumb they were and how stupid their policies were and so forth. Considering their system, that is not what he should have been doing. I think the Chinese have behaved very, very shrewdly in managing their economy, and they've gotten better results than we have in managing our economy. I think that will probably continue. And Jack Ma got way out of line by popping off the way he did to the Chinese government. I regard Alibaba as one of the worst mistakes I ever made.
Next, let's look at Munger's views on why Americans should be less hostile and arrogant towards China.
It's not clear to me that China would have done better if they'd copied every aspect of English civilization. I think they would have come out worse because their position was so dire and the poverty was so extreme. They needed very extreme methods to get out of the fix they were in. So I think what China has done was probably right for China, and that we shouldn't be so pompous as to be telling the Chinese they ought to behave like us because we like ourselves and our system. Entirely possible that our system is right for us and their system is right for them. And of course, our relative significance in the world will go down as theirs rises. They've got 1.3 billion people. And
should we be worried?
I'm not worried because every great leading country that ever led the world eventually passed the baton to some other great leading country. Why do we need to be motivated by envy? There's always going to be somebody that's getting rich faster than you are, particularly if they start poor. And so why should a great civilization like ours care if a new civilization rises? We should make a friend out of the new civilization and keep trying to have win-win transactions. It's so simple. Basically, I don't have this hostility toward China. I really admire what the Chinese people have achieved. If we make good friends out of the Chinese and vice versa, who in the hell is ever going to bother us? And of course, we should learn to get along with people who have a different system of government. We like our government because we're used to it and it has advantages of personal freedom. China could never have handled its life with a government like ours. And I don't think we should be criticizing China, which has terrible problems because they're not just like the United States. They do some things better than we do. They should like us and we should like them. So I think nothing is crazier than people who foment resentments on either side of that one.
With US-China trade wars heating up, let's now look at Munger's and Buffett's views on the issue.
There's been some tension in the economic relationship of the United States and China. I think that tension has been wrongly created on both sides. I think we're equally guilty of being stupid. If there's one thing we should do, it's get along with China. And we should have a lot of free trade with China in our mutual interest. And everything that increases the tension between the two companies is stupid, stupid, stupid. And each side ought to respond to the other side's stupidity with reciprocal kindness. That's my view. I don't think we have any option but to have relatively free trade with China. It'll cause dislocations and pain here. It will also cause advantages. And the pain and the advantages frequently go to different people, which is why the subject is controversial.
There'll be lots of tensions with the Chinese over time. The American people, they're unhappy now. They're sour to some degree. I don't blame them. I mean, they either have or know people that have lost their job. They either have or know people that have lost their home. I mean, and it isn't their fault. I mean, it is not that they've done anything terrible. So they're sour, and they got three places to blame: government, Wall Street, and China. and you know, you can sort of take your pick depending on how you feel.
Next, let's look at his thoughts on his investment in BYD, whose electric cars are now taking social media by storm.
Why Mr. Munger prefers an investment in BYD to Tesla.
Well, that's easy. Tesla last year reduced its prices in China twice. BYD increased its prices. We're direct competitors. BYD is so much ahead of Tesla in China, it's almost ridiculous. If you look at BYD, which most people have never heard of, if you count all the manufacturing space they have in China to make cars, it would amount to a big percentage of all the land in Manhattan Island. Little BYD is worth more than the entire Mercedes Corporation. It's a very remarkable company.
Next, he outlines his thoughts on why people should invest in China over the US, despite all the political tensions.
We invested some money in China because we could get more value in terms of the strength of the enterprise and the price of the security than we could get in the United States. Other people, including Sequoia, the leading venture capital firm in the United States, have made the same decision we have. The reason that I invested in China is I could get so much better companies at so much lower prices, and I was willing to take a little political risk to get into the better companies at the lower prices. Other people might reach the opposite conclusion, and everybody is more worried about China now than they were 2 or 3 years ago. So that's just the way it is.
If I were a Chinese person, I would invest in China, not the United States. I think the fruit is hanging lower there, and the Chinese are formidable workers, and there's a lot of strength in that system. And the Chinese government, it really tries to help its businesses. It does not behave like the government of India, which I don't think runs this country right at all.
Well, the Chinese market is going to create a lot of successful investors. I anticipate that China's security markets and investing practices will get better and better for a long, long time. There'll be fluctuations, to be sure, but the long-term trend will be toward more achievement, more respectability, and higher prices. But I would argue that the chances in a big confrontation from China have gone down, not up, because of what happened in the Ukraine. I think that the Chinese leader is a very smart, practical person. I don't think Taiwan looks like such a cakewalk anymore. I think it's off the table in China for a long, long time. And I think that helps the prospects of investors who invest in China. I have more optimism about the leader of the Chinese party than most people do. You know, he led a big anti-corruption drive. He's done a lot of things right.
And finally, let's look at his only criticism of China, which revolves around their culture of luck and gambling.
So in China, the ordinary holding period for the individual investor is short. They love to gamble in stock. This is really stupid. Hard to imagine anything dumber than the way the Chinese hold stocks. And they're so good at everything else. It shows how hard it is to be rational.
The problem with the Chinese people is they like to gamble. And they actually believe in luck. Now that is stupid. You don't want to believe in his luck, you want to believe in odds. China, there's some reason in the culture, too many people believe in luck and gamble. And that's a national defect.
With US-China tensions intensifying, can Charlie Munger's value investing approach in Chinese companies still bear fruit? Share your thoughts in the comments.
All the past countries that once led the world, Athens, Rome, Britain, you name it, they passed the baton in due course. So this is a law of nature, like the fact that you and I are going to die. And why be mad at the way the world is?